Ever wondered why John Wick movies don't achieve the same height as The Matrix despite having good action scenes? Just like in John Wick, I will tell you why action in action movies are misused and also how Lord of the Rings, The Dark Knight, and The Matrix use the same action to become great. If you'd watched John Wick, you would know it's filled with fast paced action, yet the action doesn't get engaging. There are two ways to engage your viewers with action, and John Wick fails at both. First technique to engage viewers is by telling a story through action. This can further be achieved by three ways. These three methods are related to each other but still different. The first one is developing an arc. The movie that masters this is The Matrix. I remember when I was watching The Matrix the second time, I felt the movie was good in the first half. It was good, falling short of being great. And when the action begins, the team is trying to escape, I realized the reason why it's so great. Thing is, the action scenes are engaging in two ways, but I'm gonna talk about only one of them now. The other way will be explained later in the video. I think The Matrix is the best movie that excels at developing a character arc through action. Just look at these scenes and how they develop the arc. Neo has got a choice to save Morpheus or be out of the Matrix for his own good. He chooses to save Morpheus. This was the prophecy by the Oracle. Neo then goes on to fight the baddies. The action feels engaging here because stakes have been attached to these scenes through Neo's arc of being the one. This is the first time he chooses to act as a savior and be the hero. Later on, when he is on the roof fighting, he does this. That even Trinity, who's been trained in the Matrix for years, can't do. This is Neo taking his first steps to master the ability of being the one. In the previous scene, Neo begins the journey of being the one. In this one, he mastered the skills of being the one, and in the next one, he actually becomes the one by defeating Agent Smith. Not only this, there are many steps or phases of his character arc getting developed, sprinkled all over the film. This is the reason The Matrix is one of the greatest movies ever made. It's not due to its idea of reality being a simulation. The concept is just a utensil. Story is the food in that utensil. If the food sucks, the eaters wouldn't care how good the utensil looks. Just like it takes a whole lot of work to make action engaging, it took a lot of hard work to make this video, so please hit the subscribe button. Moving on, the next subcategory or method is attaching emotions to the scenes. The characters might not grow as the action scene progresses. Their motivations as well as abilities might remain the same, but still it feels fulfilling. The two movies that I remember master this are Braveheart and Gladiator. I'm gonna show the example of Gladiator here. This scene starts with Maximus fighting and defeating his rivals. This scene is great for the same reason the team escaping in Matrix scene is great, even though emotions are not attached to this scene till this point. But what happens after the action ends raises the bar of the story to a newer height. Maximus has defeated his rivals. The crowd is cheering for him. The Emperor walks down to award Maximus. Then this happens.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the North, general of the Felix Legions, loyal servant to the true Emperor Marcus Aurelius, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next.
The bar suddenly shot through the sky. Emotions and stakes get attached to the fight scenes after this point. The Emperor wants Maximus to be dead, and Maximus wants to kill the Emperor and take his revenge. We all know deep down that the protagonist is gonna win and the story will end happily unless it's a David Finch or Damien Chazelle effect. I mean, we all know in our subconscious that Maximus will win at the end, but still we care, we vouch for Maximus in these fights he gets into. We oppose the Emperor when he conspires against Maximus. That's what makes the action scenes in the story so compelling to watch. Another movie that does this is Braveheart. The action scenes are full of stakes, they're full of emotions because the protagonist wants to take the revenge of his wife's death by defeating the Emperor.
Wait a minute!
The next subcategory is moving the story forward via action. The movie I'm gonna talk about is it's a superhero movie, so it would not be wrong to assume it would have dozens of action scenes. Still, the movie doesn't make them boring by adding story beats to the action. There are certain problems with the movie. The action scenes could have been edited to become shorter, but still they work to a certain limit. The story begins with Thanos overpowering the Hulk and Thor to gain the Space Stone. Hulk is thrown back to Earth, informs the two Sherlocks that Thanos is gonna attack. Thanos' men come to Earth. We have another fight scene in which Ebony Maw kidnaps Doctor Strange to retrieve the Time Stone. This compels Tony and his sidekick to sneak into the ship and kill Squidward. The fight at Earth had set in motion a chain of events that lead the two Sherlocks and Tobey Maguire 2.0 to go to Titan, where they have another cool fight with Thanos for Time Stone. On the other hand, Team Cap also gets to know about the threat through a fight. Wakanda is attacked, which really doesn't do much. It could have been edited out and replaced by Wanda on the run with Vision and her teammates getting defeated till she kills Vision to destroy the Mind Stone or vice versa. Then Thanos comes along, recovers the Mind Stone using the Time Stone and kills Vision once again. The story keeps moving forward through its action sequences. We see that the story beats and the action have been tied together in this film, which makes it the best Marvel feature till date. Coming to the second segment of this video, there's one more approach that is radically different from telling a story through action. The movies that make use of this radically different second approach are The Dark Knight, The Lord of the Rings, No Country for Old Men, The Return of the Jedi, Saving Private Ryan, and a bunch more. Even if you remove some action scenes from the story or make them shorter, the movies would still make sense, but they will lose their charisma, they will lose the thing that makes them once in a decade achievement. The second way is creating tension. Creating tension can be done by further three ways. The first of them being eventfulness. If you're doing a fight scene, it's possible that they become boring because you are extending their duration. They become more like 2-hour freestyle boxing matches rather than being a story. But Lord of the Rings takes the same thing and turns it on its head. It makes it action sequences eventful. We don't have the same old fist fights. We get versatility there. Let's talk about this sequence. This sequence, I believe, is the best part of this movie. First of all, the Fellowship fights the giants, then the monsters, and then the Surtur. There's also a scene where the Fellowship gets stuck and has to cross a shattering bridge, and still there's more. To top all of them, the individual scenes like fighting the monsters is further divided into sections where different individuals are attacked. The thing is, the movie keeps it engaging by not showing the same thing over and over again. It makes use of versatility. Due to that, the action sequences get eventful, the story gets engaging. The Fellowship has more such sequences, and the sequels replicate this technique, like the Siege of Helm's Deep in The Two Towers, or the epic battle in the third movie, due to which the third movie won an Oscar for direction and story. Moving on, the next way to create tension is to have a multi-way structure. This means that two or more separate but still correlated action scenes play all at once. The movies that do this are The Dark Knight, The Return of the Jedi, and Skyfall. Let's take the example of The Dark Knight. The three-way action sequences cover most of the movie, starting from the Wayne Tower. When Joker comes to kidnap Dent, Wayne goes on to get his suit, and the cops try to save the commissioner and the judge. Later on, when the Joker tries to get out of his cell, Batman saves Harvey, the cops save, not actually save, Rachel. We see this once again when the Joker blows up the hospital and Wayne tries to save his blackmailer and Gordon tries to overpower his fellow officer. We see the multi-way action sequence again. And once again, when Batman fights the Joker's goons and the Joker himself, and the two ships carrying the civilians decide to push the button to blow up the other ship or not, we see this again. The movie is filled with this technique. I recall this particular technique of creating tension and an action sequence being used for the first time in Return of the Jedi's climax. Main thing is making this technique work is to add stakes to the individual scenes and make them dependent on each other, and also not to make them go along. Moving on, the next way to create tension is to create uncertainty. Let's look at No Country for Old Men, for example. In this sequence, Brolin's character is trying to escape Bardem's character, who is trying to kill him and get the money. Brolin discovers the bag had a tracker, suspects Bardem is downstairs, and then at his door, he checks and then Brolin jumps out the window, not sure where to go. Tries to run away. Bardem spots him, shoots at him. Brolin takes cover around the corner of building, not sure if Bardem is there. The whole sequence goes on like this. The viewers are hooked because they don't know where the assassin is, and we see most of the sequence from Brolin's POV, which makes us as annoyed as him. The sequence keeps moving forward after taking the perfect amount of time to build tension. That's what makes this sequence the greatest tense sequence in history of cinema. Horror movies also tend to use this third technique of building tension through uncertainty. Now, when we have discussed every method to make action engaging, let's talk about what these movies don't get. After discussing the points, it seems quite obvious that these movies are bad. They must lack a thing or two that great action movies like The Matrix or The Dark Knight have. For example, the stair sequence in World War Z is same all along. It's not eventful like Lord of the Rings, even though it's fast paced. When John Wick goes to Japan to meet his friend, there's a very long fight scene. It's way too long. The story doesn't keep moving unlike Infinity War. There are no tension to these scenes because we know John will win at the end. And also in the whole franchise, John isn't developing a character arc through these scenes. Every good or above average action flick misses some of these fundamental techniques, and garbage movies like the Fast and the Furious franchise lack almost all of the points mentioned. For them, action is just a way to keep the story fast paced, which actually doesn't happen because they lack tension or storytelling through action. That's the reason why movies like these are good. Movies like these are great, and movies like these are garbage. It took a lot of hard work to make this video, so please hit the subscribe button.